Hello, Julian.
Hello, Mike. What are we going to talk about tonight?
Tonight, we're going to talk about and to an expat vet who came to the UK to improve his English.
Yeah.
But he went to Aberdeen.
Aberdeen? Oh, for heaven's sake, you never learned English there.
Well, let's get him on and find out, shall we?
Yeah, all right. Let's Francisco Gomez, is it?
That's right.
Come on.
Hi, I'm Mike Brampton.
And my name is Julian Ho.
Welcome to Veterinary Ramblings.
The first order of business, as far as I'm concerned, is have you got a drink?
Yes. Yes, I do. It's in here. Look, this is my drink. Yes.
Fantastic. Now, is that Bailey's?
No, it's not Bailey's.
Oh, I know what you're having.
No, I'm having salted caramel liqueur.
What's
salted
that?
caramel liqueur? I've had that.
Salted caramel.
Yeah, salted caramel liqueur.
Yes, you can only get it in a very expensive and specific shops in the high street.
It's called Aldi, isn't it?
No, it's called it's Tesco's.
Tesco's.
Tesco's. Other expensive supermarkets are, of course, available. I'm having a gin and tonic. I'm having a Monkey 47.
Obviously, this is a show people are listening, but you know the bottle. The bottle looks like Fino bottles. You know Fino bottles.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Oh wow! Oh, now that is lovely.
Good.
Yes.
I'm glad you like
it.
it.
Oh, that's wonderful. So Monkey 47. Presumably, it's 47 proof, but are there also 47 botanicals?
There are.
It's a Schwarzland dry gin.
It is.
Oh, this is lovely.
Well, this is an interesting one because it's actually distilled or is originated by a British expat living in Germany.
Oh, really?
And yes, it's served in a very small, almost medicine-like bottle, isn't it?
It is, with a beautiful cork.
With a beautiful
cork. has a lovely sort of metallic bezel.
Yes, it does.
Around the centre of it.
Yep.
I like that.
So there we go. But of course, that's Monkey 47. But we've got our own expat with us this evening. Francisco.
We have.
Because I detect, now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Francisco, but you work and live around the Nottingham area.
Yes.
But I'm not hearing a Nottingham accent here.
Well, I'm probably not from here originally.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're from further north, are you, or Scotland?
No, I'm for a little bit south. Farther south.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Cornwall.
Yeah, a little bit south. Farther than that.
That's why we don't know the accent. Yeah.
Yes.
Further Cornwall. Is there anywhere further than Cornwall? You tend to fall off the map there. Tell us exactly where you're from.
Spain, from Malaga.
From Malaga.
Right.
Beautiful place.
You can't get much further south in Spain than Malaga, can you?
Well, you can get to Gibraltar.
Yes. Yeah, but that's British.
But that's back to England again, isn't it?
No, that's not England.
I'm just waiting now for the responses to come in.
Yeah.
That's back in Blighty, man. Goodness me, yes.
Absolutely. So,
and when did you come over from Malaga?
I came over because I had a friend who said, "Oh, well, why don't you come to England? I'm working here as a meat inspector, and there is a shortage of them. And then you're a vet with your qualifications. You can do it. Spend here 6 months, and then you improve your English. You travel the world a little bit, and that was the plan."
Sounds like a great plan, but I've got a feeling a few things have interrupted that particular plan. So
yeah.
First, let me ask you, are you still friends with this friend?
Yes, he's still my friend.
Okay.
My dad isn't, but I am.
How
Your dad isn't?
No, my dad keep asking who did make him go, because he's not coming back.
Ah, yes, they must miss you.
Yeah, that's the reason, you know.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
So tell us the story then, because you qualified as a vet.
Yes.
Presumably from.
It's the University of Córdoba.
Okay. Córdoba,
which is the province, a province next to Malaga, because Malaga didn't have a veterinary school back then.
Right.
And then once I qualified, then spent a year in small animals over there, and then left the job, and that was the next thing that happened. And then I came to the UK with a company who was doing the meat inspection, and after 3 months, we changed jobs, we changed jobs. They offered me a job in Aberdeen for a plant, for a chicken plant.
Okay.
To do a meat inspection in a chicken plant.
Mm-hmm.
And in my contract, it says, if we haven't find you a job within a month, then the contract ends and you don't have a job. I didn't realize that the chicken plant hadn't opened yet, and it never opened. So I lost my job. I ended up with no job, but still 3 months to pay in Aberdeen as in my where I was living, renting in a share house. So one thing led to another. Spent some time working for cash in an Italian restaurant. Obviously, I'm not Italian. Nobody there was Italian.
Right.
The cook was Glaswegian. The waitress was English. There was no Italians there. And then after
was it a good restaurant otherwise?
Oh yeah, it was brilliant. They paid me, like I said, in cash for a few hours, and they gave me dinner as well. And the guy cooked really well, so I was quite happy about that.
Okay. Great. Pasta and haggis.
No, it was like Italian food. It was pasta and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yes. And then over there in that same area, there were a couple of practices. It was a PDSA as well, and they let me watch and see practice over there. I thought, maybe I could try that.
Okay.
So I found, I don't know how, I think it was the Vet Times or something. I found lots of jobs. I mean, I applied for pretty much everything. I probably applied for things that was no way I was going to get with my experience. And I actually was very surprised that I have so many answers, lots of answers. The problem was most of these answers said, "I'm sorry, we don't want you." Okay. But they were lots of answers. People actually took me seriously. That's the main thing.
I have to say, I'm quite amused at the idea that you ended up in Aberdeen, hoping to learn English.
Right,
yes.
because it's the one thing they don't speak up there, isn't it?
I was going to say, not even we understand people from Aberdeen.
No, they don't understand each other, so that's not quite a... without not being offending the Aberdonians, they have their own language, like Doric, but in the plant I was working, they were workers from 2 different towns, and then they were like in cliques, in groups. Right. Because the dialect each group was speaking was different, and they have trouble to understand each other, and they live only like 100 miles away from each other.
It's incredible, isn't it? They're almost separate languages.
Yes,
absolutely.
So how old were you when you were doing this?
How old I am now? Back then, 27.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then after 4 months, like I said, I found some jobs and got a job in Nottingham. I never thought I was going to spend 15 years here, but here I am.
So you're pretty much set. And you got a wife and a son?
Yes, apparently we're not married, but getting married is a bit old now.
Okay.
It's very 1990s, isn't it, getting married?
Well, I don't know. It may happen one day.
Yeah. So you have a 1-year-old son?
Yes. Okay. Which is asleep about 10 meters from here. Hopefully we woke him up.
Okay.
So you haven't slept for a year?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
so I can hear a parent talking.
Well,
Julian, but we can't ask him what he was doing in COVID. First lockdown. We know.
Oh no, we do know now, don't we? Yes.
No, you don't.
Well, oh yes. You have
yes, we do. Oh yes, we do. You have a 1-year-old son, and
no, you don't, because we found out before COVID came. So
Ah, right.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay, so it's sort of a year then.
Yeah.
Congratulations anyway, Francisco.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
very, very. It's a lovely thing to be a parent.
Yeah.
It has its moments, but it's a lovely thing to be.
Yeah, don't spoil it. He's going to have to go through it anyway. So,
Does it get worse now?
Getting back to getting back to Malaga, which is a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah.
Not many jobs out there for vets, or you just fancied doing something different?
Just they are now. Back then they were as well, but they weren't that great at the time. I didn't think so, but I have a lot of friends working there and I'm working in good jobs. But when you spend time in a place, you started to how do you say it? You create you put roots down, you know.
Yes.
And you know, you end up with a house, with a mortgage, and the farther you spend time in a place, the harder it is to, you know, to go somewhere else. So maybe one day I'll come back, but that's not decided yet.
okay. Okay. So as a 27-year-old, then was this like a bid for freedom and unattached? Let's go and see if we can make something happen.
Yes, I went to travel the world, and then my first stop was the UK, and that's it. That's the end of traveling the world.
Well, some would say that technically that's it. But is there anything left?
I think you're there. Yeah. This is the world. Yeah, 8 weeks of the world, especially after Brexit.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really opened up the United Kingdom as being just the world, hasn't it? Because no one else wants us now, do they?
No. Quite rightly.
Well, yes. Well, the problem is there is now more problems for. When I came in, it was just moving towns. Didn't need any sort of any documentation or anything like that. But now it's more difficult. I pay for my citizenship and my passport, and pretty much I have to say I paid for it. You pay to become a citizen. It's not that you gain the right or anything like that.
No.
But if we were to come back to, if I was to go to Spain, then the difficulty would be for my parents is English.
Right.
Yes.
So that is the thing.
Before Brexit, that would have been fairly simple, wouldn't it?
Yes. At the moment, as a tourist, you're only allowed to spend there 90 days in 180.
Yep. So
if you want to spend more time, you need a visa, or you have to find a way around it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not even allowed to work for free.
Well, I know quite a bit about this because one of the sides of my business is teaching. Yeah. And one area of that, I quite enjoyed the idea of going to live for 4 months in wherever, Granada.
Yeah.
Or Milan or Paris.
Yeah.
And get a feel for living as a local in any of the European countries, which of course pre-Brexit, not a problem at all. And one area that I've been spending quite a lot of time in is the Czech Republic. And of course, if I'm living in Granada and I get a series of gigs in the Czech Republic, back pre-Brexit, not a problem.
Nothing,
Off I go, up to Prague, no problem at all. But of course now, post-Brexit, if I've been there for more than 90 days, I've got a problem. So I'm currently applying for citizenship in Greece, which will enable me access to the Schengen area.
Yeah.
And should get rid of the Brexit hangover and enable me to live as a European, which I particularly enjoyed doing for most of my life.
Yeah.
So how's it been for you? Because it's the other side of the coin. The Greek authorities and European authorities seem to be going, we're in the middle of a global pandemic. You haven't been able to fill form XYZ in time, but that's okay because we appreciate why you're not actually here because you've got stuck in the UK. So how have the UK authorities been for you?
For me, it's been okay. Because because I managed to get my citizenship and my passport before the pandemic.
Right.
So I have double citizenship, 2 passports.
Okay.
So I have all the rights in the UK as any other citizen.
Good.
But the moment I enter the European Union, I have access to all countries there too.
Yeah.
So even though I was fighting against this, I'm actually in better position than most people.
Right.
Because I still have my freedom of movement and I can access the UK.
Right.
Like Europeans can't do the same thing, neither the British.
Right. Right. But of course, for your partner,
it makes it a bit more difficult. Yes,
that would be more difficult.
Yeah.
Would marriage solve that?
Marriage may reduce the times to actually need to be in a place or another.
Right.
But it doesn't help that much. A lot of people think it does, but it doesn't. Maybe having a son together is more likely to improve, because European law is very pro family and stuff. So, if your son is in a place, then it's likely the mother will be able to come with.
Yeah.
Okay. Very enough. So enough of the politics. Now, let me ask you, Francisco. You say that you are just a vet.
Yeah, more than that.
You're more than just a vet.
Yeah.
We had just a gardener on the other week.
We did,
and she was just a gardener, and we found out a hell of a lot more that made her far more than just a gardener. So you are more than just a vet.
Yes, that's the name of my podcast.
Tell me more.
Yes. So I started. Was it this year? Yeah, this year. Well, it'll be last year by the time you publish this, which is 2021. And I thought, well, could I was a guest in another podcast called "I'm an Immigrant," and then I actually enjoyed the being a guest, and I thought, actually, I could actually do this myself and be the one asking the questions. And I thought maybe I could do this with other vets. In the profession, there is a lot of dissatisfaction, mostly about how people perceive the treated by clients. And I think I say perceive because very often it's just perceived. I do think most of our clients, they are absolutely and very deeply in love with us. That's how I feel about it. And I think it's true. But, you remember only the small percentage that give you heartache.
So what you're saying is that when you've got an angry client standing in front of you going, I want to see a British vet, and you so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, you're actually deep down inside thinking, they really love me.
Yeah, absolutely not.
They just don't know how to express that love.
Yeah, they just don't express it properly, of course.
In a loving
You're trying
manner.
very hard to remember they're worried about their pet, and they're also worried that you're going to say something that they don't like, either because it costs too much or it's bad news for their pet, or because they've been doing something wrong and they're worried that you're going to tell them off for
yeah. Well,
all those things.
People get stressed, and they have their own stress at home, and they come to the vet, and then we charge them a little bit. We don't charge a lot, don't we? And then when we talk to them, then they worry, and sometimes they can't cope, and when they can't cope, sometimes stress comes out in different ways.
But they'll lash out, and you always lash out in a way that subconsciously is going to hurt the person you're lashing out at the most.
Yes.
And so they lash out at your professionality.
Yes. So I thought I could record this and then record some vets, find the humanity of vets, having a chat with them. And then if clients listen to my show, they can feel a little bit more connected with us rather than be distant from us. So that was the idea. That's the reason I started the podcast. But with time, I realized that the main audience of my podcast are vets themselves.
Okay.
So I still have a chat with them, but I think it's a bit different. I still trying to make sure the show is open enough, and when I use like difficult terms, then I explain them so people who are not vets can understand them.
Right.
And then I did 9 shows last year.
Mhm.
And then I'm now doing a different way. I'm trying to record a few shows from people from all over the world, vets from other places
Mhm.
in the world. And then and the idea is to show vets and vet nurses and veterinary professionals how veterinary people work abroad.
Okay.
I got someone from a couple of people from the Caribbean. I have someone from Australia. I am about to record someone from Nigeria. And I have someone also from Germany. So I want to do a few shows from people from different places and a couple of them from the UK as well. And
That's very interesting.
that's my plan. And hopefully in 2022, people will be able to listen to it.
Excellent. Let's hope so. Because although it's the same job, isn't it? It's the same animals. It's the same drugs in the main part. It's the same techniques. It's very different worlds that we live in as vets. Different client expectations. We have different client abilities.
Yes.
And we have very different moral and ethical views, I think.
Absolutely. Yes, and this is something that I'm finding difficult as well, because one of the problems is my accent is not the easiest. I mean, I can see you can hear me, so that you can listen to me. What you understand what I say.
Yeah.
Despite
That's because I spent 3 years in Aberdeen.
Yeah. Despite this old excuse, some clients call and reception tells me, "Oh, it didn't want to see you because he says he doesn't understand you." I'm thinking, all right, that must be the reason. But
I had a new receptionist. I must tell you, I had a new receptionist a couple of years back, who couldn't remember my name. And the client phoned up and said, I want to see the vet I saw the other day. She said, "Oh, I'm new here. Which vet was that?" And she said, "Oh, he was. Oh, it's a male vet, was it? Yes. Was it the attractive-looking one or the short, bald one?" And I heard her say this. I thought, hang on, she's not going for a rise yet, is she?
Brutal, but honest.
I got a better one.
Brutal but honest. So, and Andy, the other male vet, one of the other male vets in the practice, is obviously much taller and more handsome than I am. So,
and younger.
I felt, fair enough.
That's the eye of the beholder, like you say in England, right?
It's going to be the safe, Francisco. Very good to say.
Go on, Francisco. You were going to say you've got a better one.
I worked in Norwich for a couple of years, and a very nice friend of mine, whose name is Anthony, is Polish, but is also black, which being Polish is not what you expect, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm Spanish, but I'm actually very pale to be Spanish. I'm actually the paler person of my family. Maybe, hoping I'm still part of my family bloodline. But we have the same thing. The question from a client to a receptionist, could they say the same vet again? Say, yes. It's the foreign one. Yes, they both foreign. The Spanish one or the Polish one? Nobody's going to say the black one. That's not politically acceptable.
Of course not.
So we end up very often having each other clients and having in the middle of a session, of a consulting session, changing clients from rooms because at the same time people have chose the wrong way. So that was quite frequently that happened.
That wouldn't be a problem for us, Julian, if I worked in veterinary medicine, would it?
No, not at all.
No, nobody would ever mix you and I up.
Although there are a few people who occasionally think we're brothers or even twins. One of the so I was at the Vet Nurse Congress this year, and a few people said, "I love that podcast you do with your brother." I said, did it not occur to you that my brother and I have different surnames? And she said, "No, I just more or less assumed that one of you had changed your name." Okay, I see. Yeah, fair enough.
Brilliant.
So
it's my stage name, darling. It's my stage
twins.
name. Yes.
I said to her, we're twins, so we've changed our surnames so people don't think they're the same person. And she said, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Brilliant.
And that's the level of our audience, Francisco. We love you all. We love you all. And what would we do without you and your follow-up comments? I've probably just lost us.
They'll be coming to my show.
Yep.
They'll be coming
to your show.
We haven't heard from Brenda for a while, have we?
We haven't actually, no.
We've insulted a few people along the way, Francisco, and we apologise for that. We apologise for that. I would just say there are some people who are there waiting in the wings to be upset and insulted.
Yeah,
and I suspect that she was one of them. She watched the programme for 55 minutes and didn't enjoy a single minute of it. Now, I don't know about you. I've watched or listened to a few podcasts for a couple of minutes and thought, not my cup of tea. I think I'll listen to something else.
I'll switch that one off. Actually, she's not from far from where Francisco is.
Oh, no, she's not. No.
Just a little bit further. She might be one of his clients.
Oh. Yeah. Anyone called Brenda comes in, just fix him with a steely eye and say, do you listen to any other veterinary podcast?
Pull your mask up, please, Brenda.
We refer to our client by Mrs. and Mr. We don't, or doctor. So I'm not going to know if someone's called Brenda.
Interesting.
It's difficult in my practice because they're all lord and lady. So, we have
brilliant stuff.
I got told off once.
We've rambled off track.
We've rambled
off track.
We ramble quite a bit, don't we? I was going to say, I got told off at a previous practice I worked at because I let people call me by my first name. The practice manager drew me aside and said, it's very bad. You shouldn't let people call you by your first name because then they lose respect for you.
I think that's it. I ask everyone to call me Fran anyway at work. So
I go with the short bald one. That's fine. So would you say that you said things have changed a little bit for Spanish vets now? So there are more opportunities, are there, in Spain?
I think there are. Yeah. Well, I think the way people treat animals in the UK back then when I came in was there was more difference back then. Pets were less like a member of the family, but they are now. And I can see people, making sure they spending money on them, and there is more opportunities there. So definitely, yeah, that's an improvement. There are a certain procedure you wouldn't expect to undertake back then, and also the place where I'm from is Costa del Sol. There is half of it is British, so
I don't think we own it anymore, do we?
No, just half of it.
Just half of it. Just half.
Yes. Yes.
So it's all British pubs and fish and chip shops, isn't it? Out there?
Yeah, lots of them. I mean, when I talk to my partner there, she says, "Oh, the place I absolutely love is this fish and chips that is looked after by a Welsh person." I thought, all right.
Gosh, but you have some of the best food in the world. I love Spanish food. I love eating Spanish food. I love cooking Spanish food, and I love drinking Spanish wine when I'm cooking and eating Spanish food. Paella is my favorite dish in the world ever.
And you can pronounce it properly, which is very good. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I cook it reasonably, I think, as well. No complaints.
Yes.
How thick do you let the crust go at the bottom?
Oh,
it goes and goes. It goes and goes. Depends whether I'm cooking it on coals or inside on gas.
Right.
Okay.
So, but my favourite way of cooking it is on the barbecue.
Can you tell me the ingredients of a paella?
I'm not going to tell you my spice mix because that's rather secret.
Okay.
There is obviously a fair amount of saffron in it. But I do add a little bit of turmeric. I always use homemade stocks. So I'll use the chicken stock that's homemade. Obviously the risotto rice. I like adding peas. I know it's a bit contentious, but I do like that. The last minute, and red peppers, never any green ones. A large Spanish onion and about as much garlic as you can possibly hope to put in.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I then have so my wife and one of my daughters are vegetarian, so we don't tend to use chicken on every occasion, but we do have a lot of seafood, and I tend to have a little bit of smoked haddock, some unsmoked haddock, fresh cod, monkfish. So lotte, is that what it is in Spanish, monkfish? And if I can get it, some gurnards. I do love that. You have to spend a while filleting it. Some gambas,
Yes.
and mussels at the end of it, and some wonderful squid goes in
All
there.
right.
And it's very easy to overdo the squid. So if you're cooking it, the squid should really just go in at the last minute with the prawns, just to brown them off.
Okay, well done.
Thank you very much. How did I do, Teach?
Is that a seal of approval from you?
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I was expecting to say chorizo. Chorizo doesn't go in paella.
No, absolutely.
Okay, and I
Absolutely,
thought
yeah.
I was going to tell him off for that, but that didn't happen. So I'm actually quite happy about it.
Thank you very much. Whoa, there we go. I've aced it.
There we go.
Nailed
I'll
it.
raise a glass to that one. That's brilliant stuff.
Cheers for that. But as I say, one of my second favourite dishes is zarzuela. Now,
Okay,
is
I
that
don't.
the way to pronounce it? It's now I think it's a Basque recipe, but it's a crab soup essentially.
That'll be from the north. I'm familiar. It's almost a different country.
Yeah. Well, like Aberdeen is with us, like Scotland.
Yes.
Yes.
I think the Basques would agree with you there.
Yeah, probably they will. A lot.
Although I went out with a girl from Malaga once who wore a Basque, so go figure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
right.
got like 50% of people want independence, 50% don't. So you'll never get a winner on those things. Same with Catalonia, with Catalans.
Sure.
Yeah.
We were talking about something else, and I distracted you completely with paella because I get quite into it. But you were telling us about more than just, and what makes you more than just a vet, in your view.
Yes.
What makes someone more than just? I'm going to ignore the just vet.
Yes.
More than just.
I think we all do other things other than spend however many hours at work and then go home and think about pets that they don't get better or you are unsure about, and because we all have these dreams and these patients who chase you overnight. But we're doing a podcast. That's your hobby. That's your let out, your escape. And one of the things I do when I get people in is to ask them what their hobbies, what are their dreams, and it's amazing how they have lots of interests, hobbies, and and they are absolutely happy to talk about them, and they have nothing to do with veterinary science. And I think that's what make people be more than just a vet.
Absolutely. So in a list of hobbies, you would say podcasting is one of your main hobbies?
Yeah, at the moment. I mean, having a 1-year-old son, there isn't a lot more hobbies you can have, fortunately.
There isn't a lot, is there? And you mentioned earlier about how, to some extent, this was to try and reveal the inner life of a vet to the public.
Yes.
Is that to try and get them to understand our world?
Yes.
Because I think you're absolutely right. Most clients would not recognise that we have a life outside of the clinic.
Yeah,
that we ever can do anything other than their pets, or indeed perhaps the stresses, the fun parts and the stresses.
Yes.
And that can be true of us as well. We don't tend to think of our dentists or doctors having a life outside.
Yeah.
But so was that the main motivator then for doing the podcast, or?
Yeah. Well, there is also being able to use my computer skills because I enjoy them. So that's that too, of course.
So you'd had a really rough time in consult, and you were thinking, if only I could reach out to Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Smith and explain that I'm not just stuck in these four walls. I have a life outside of here.
Yes,
what I'm going to do.
I'm just like you. Yes, that's exactly it.
So that was what it was.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes, absolutely.
I'll tell you what it was, and I'll tell you, and I'm a human too. Be kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. Yes.
Okay.
That's a good idea. And sometimes you'd just love to be able to say to people, whoa, let's stop the conversation. Let's stop this consult. And let's just say, actually, do you know, I'm a human too. I appreciate all of your feelings, all of your concerns, all of your worries. I'm not, don't shoot me because I found something wrong with your pet. Don't shoot me down because actually I can't give you the answers here and now. But please, let's work through this together and understand that I want the same outcome as you, which is essentially a well pet and a stress-free life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's pretty much what it is. Yes.
Yeah. And if that doesn't work, slap them. It's the only way.
Yeah. You're not allowed now with COVID.
You're not allowed to. No, you can elbow them. I think but that's about it.
Yeah, I think so. So this is available. This podcast's available out on Spotify.
Yeah,
iTunes,
pretty much on
all platforms. Yeah,
it's all in there.
Mm-hmm.
The website is morethanjustavet.net,
right.
And then but you just put it in Google and it comes one of the ones there, and it's free.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And you've spoken, as we have, I guess, to a lot of different vets who you never met before.
Yes, and to be honest, I haven't met them either. I never seen them in person.
Yeah, right. And it's lovely, isn't it? Actually, you realise what a big profession this is, and what binds us as vet. Obviously, Mike isn't a vet, but what binds us to this profession, to the animal medical world.
Yes.
And also realise that actually everyone has interests outside of that. Everyone has different parts of their lives, and everyone is more than a vet. And you're part of being more than a vet is you're more than a general purpose vet, aren't you? Because you're an ophthalmologist as well.
I do a little bit of of veterinary ophthalmology. Yes.
Mm-hmm. What got you into that?
That's a really good question.
Okay.
Why got me into that? Okay. I think a lot of our lives, or maybe my life, is about control, and it's difficult to try to control as much as you can, and sometimes getting more. Oh, this is a very long explanation.
No, that's fine. We have time.
We've got time.
Okay, so I like maths and things that are finite, that I can control.
Mm-hmm.
And I find veterinary sciences is very wide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that ophthalmology is narrow, because it's not, but I feel it's a part of the anatomy I can concentrate easily in my mind. So it's easier for me to concentrate in just one part of the body, even though it's, interconnected with everything else, and there's a lot of systemic diseases that they impact the eye. But if you think about orthopedics, you're looking at pretty much every single bone in the body. It's too wide. If you're looking at internal
I have
medicine,
to say, as an orthopod, I've never once been asked to repair a stapedial fracture in the inner ear. Although I do have a friend, in fact, we had him on the podcast, didn't we, who does just that. It's a human ENT surgeon who replaces the auditory ossicles. Well,
there you go. But that's how I feel. So because my head is, I'm very mathematic minded. I thought ophthalmology will help. I don't know if it has or not, but I find a subject I really enjoy. So that's what made me think about ophthalmology, and that's why I started to do that. And I really enjoyed it.
I'm still trying to work this out. Dermatology, ophthalmology. Surely they're virtually the same.
Why dermatology?
No. There are subtle differences. I know you're dealing with one organ system with each. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Although with ophthalmology, you're also dealing with the tegmental pathways within the brain and the optic nerves. But the big difference, and I think Fran will agree with me here, is that ophthalmology is interesting, whereas dermatology isn't.
Right.
Is that right? I don't want to.
Can you have an
basic.
emergency in dermatology?
All the time, I think, don't they? I'm not a dermatologist. I've got no interest in dermatology at all.
I'm just asking.
No.
Can you have an emergency in dermatology?
No, if skin bursts open, then you see a soft tissue surgeon. And oh my God, it's a yeast infection! Quick, it must be seen immediately.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're in a referral practice as a dermatologist, are you guaranteed you're not gonna be on call?
Christmas Day is bliss, I think, for dermatologists. And please, any dermatologists watching or listening,
Please
disagree with that. Take time from your busy schedules and write in. Please do.
I complain.
Come on the show. Come on, Veterinary Ramblings, explain it to us. Yeah,
I put it out. A very good friend of mine is a dermatologist, and he's boring. No, and he loves his job. If you love your job, then you find it interesting. I, as a primary clinician, never really found dermatology all that interesting and absorbing. 7 Ways with Steroids is the biggest best-selling dermatology books, isn't it? Ophthalmology, I love. I do enjoy ophthalmology. I'm not. I haven't reached the exalted status that you have, but I do corneal surgery. I do.
Brilliant.
Eyelid surgery as well, and love it. One of my favourite pieces of ophthalmic surgery, a conjunctival pedicle grafts.
Okay. Yeah, brilliant.
I love the technical nature. You're absolutely right. There's a mathematical precision about it, isn't there? You are being very precise in the work you do.
Yes.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas with yeasts and drawing,
no. We don't want to do that. So as an ophthalmology specialist, I mean, had that always been on your radar? Not a special. Oh, sorry.
No,
okay.
no. That's forbidden to use that word.
Well, hang on, no, because
certificate holder.
Your certificate holder. That's fair enough. But we've come across this several times, haven't we? But we've never really explored it for our listeners who aren't veterinary surgeons.
Yes.
So I've just used the forbidden word,
the S
specialist.
word.
The S word. So you're a certificate holder in ophthalmology.
Yes. Yeah.
And some of our other guests have been experts in their field rather than specialists.
Well, hardly even that. They can't call themselves experts. Other people can say that they are considered to be experts.
Mm-hmm.
We can call ourselves gypsies to some extent. GPs with a special interest.
Yes.
So it's a human doctoral term. But yeah, the term specialist is reserved purely for those who have been granted specialist status by the governing bodies. In the UK, it's the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons.
Yeah.
So would you become a specialist then, Fran? Are you thinking you've got your certificate, you're going to go on and do?
Probably not.
Okay.
Simply because to do that, you will have to do possibly a residency, which I will be paid not enough to feed my kid, and therefore that won't happen.
Right. And that's the big problem, isn't it? Going down the residency route as a human surgeon is very lucrative. Very lucrative indeed. Going down the residency route and therefore the specialist route as a veterinary surgeon costs money.
Yeah.
You don't get paid much. You go back to earning perhaps a little bit less even than you did as a new graduate.
Yeah.
And then you're not guaranteed earning much afterwards either.
Yeah. They've been talks about, having a direct route from certificate holder to specialist, but that route doesn't exist at the moment.
Fair enough.
Maybe it will, because I know they're short of ophthalmic specialists, aren't they? There are a national shortage. There is a national shortage
of everything.
I know what we can do, though. I know what we can do.
Yes.
Have you? We asked a lot of our guests this
yes.
And
right.
most guests nod and say yes. And we believe what they say. We believe that they have come across the section of our show that we call 60-second CPD.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, you know all about this then?
Yes, of course, because I heard it and I have listened to a couple of your shows, and I think it's really interesting. I found that honestly, I haven't listened to all episodes, but the couple of I listened to is actually quite interesting. Of course.
Okay.
So I got it ready. Don't you worry.
Okay, that's fantastic. So in that case, then, well, this is a long shot,
Yes.
but would you be up for the 60-second CPD challenge?
Let's try. Yes.
So what's going to be your chosen subject then, Fran?
It's going to be about eyes, of course.
It's going to be about eyes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, welcome to the 60-second CPD challenge. Francisco Gomez, who's going to give us 60 seconds of quality CPD, all about eyes, starting now.
Hello. So, if you have a corneal ulcer, please check you don't have also dry eye. Don't assume you have a glaucoma because you're pulling from the head of your dog while you're checking the pressure. If the ulcer hasn't healed in 1 week, please stop adding drops and booking the vet for the week where you're on holidays. And when you're doing an nucleation in a cat, please don't pull from the eye because you'll make the cat blind in the other eye. And well, don't spend your life trying to stop the bleeding after the nucleation because you don't really need to ligate the artery. And one thing for everyone is don't casually put on the records that I think the dog has cataracts when he only has nuclear sclerosis. And this applies to everything else like murmurs, because when they really have it, the company insurance won't pay for it.
There we go.
Well done. Do you know, that's great. You've hit one of my personal bugbears, the number of vets who cannot tell nuclear sclerosis from cataracts. And it's so frustrating. So frustrating. And you're absolutely right. They'll put it on the notes. And even if you say afterwards, no, this is not nuclear sclerosis, or it wasn't nuclear sclerosis, but now the dog has a cataract, then, naturally enough, the insurance company will say, well, someone said that he had a cataract 3 years ago.
Yes.
And you then got a real problem saying,
yes,
no, that was nuclear sclerosis. Well, how do you know? Because I know.
Yes, how is the insurance going to pay for that cataract surgery when 3 years ago someone said there was a cataract? Casually, didn't probably even inform the owner. He just said, I think it's got cataract. Sometimes the owner tells you, I think it's got cataract.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't. Oh, he may does. Or he may do, but you got to be careful with these things. If you put in the notes that there is a life-changing sign in this pet, that may impact insurance in the future and make life hell for the next vet and for that client and for that pet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One of my friends has got a cat, and it has now developed. Get ready for this. It's developed type 1 diabetes.
Cat
developed,
and that's got in the notes.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good one, isn't it? It's funny actually talking about enucleation and for the guests that are.
So enucleation means removing the eye.
Removing the eye, which of course we have to do.
Yes, it's actually not. There is a few terms. There is enucleation, exenteration, and all that. But in layman terms, enucleation, removing the eye.
So it was a great 60-second CPD, by the way. Very good.
Thank you.
Good. And you mentioned something else, which is about. There's a time element involved in ophthalmic problems, in eye problems, that clients should be aware of.
Yeah.
So would you give any general advice to clients if they're worried about their dog or cat's eyes? Is it something that they should leave for a weekend and bathe in?
Of course, just bathe it with salt water and wait until next year.
Absolutely. Or alternatively, what?
Or alternatively, come and see the vet as soon as possible.
I think so, because actually a lot of eye problems are quite time sensitive, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. And And often people want to see you and just get some eye drops and go home. And you have to explain to them, look, these things we need to monitor and see where things are going, which I'm guessing is with a lot of conditions. But you only have two eyes, and there is a big life-changing event for an animal to lose their eyes.
Sure, yeah. It is absolutely. They can't look up to you with both of them and demand food as easily. But you have given us a great 60-second CPD, and I think.
Have you got a certificate, Julian?
I have. I think.
Oh, fantastic!
That's meritorious of a CPD certificate. So I'm going to talk you through this. It says certificate of ophthalmology stuff. And it
very
says
technical. That's a very technical term, that, Julian.
I hope
I like
not
that.
Too technical.
Okay. It was at the end of the day, it was stuff. So
okay. I wasn't sure what you were going to say, and of course I do this in advance of the certificates. I was kind of hoping you would talk about ophthalmology, because otherwise, if you didn't touch on ophthalmology, then I had certificate of general thingness. So
I know a lot of general thickness as well, but we'll leave that for another day.
Well, that's good. We'll do the thickness another time. I'm glad you did the ophthalmology. So this certifies that the listener has listened, the speakers have spoken, and all is well with the world. And then it says, let's party, but say we didn't, because I think if the government can say that, we can too.
Yes.
So
what were you talking about? Sorry, what was that?
What was the party?
Yeah, what party?
There was never a party.
No, it's a business meeting.
It was a business meeting with wine and cheese.
Yeah, but it didn't happen.
And we're going to have, I don't know whether they're going to announce another lockdown, but I feel if they do, then my life is going to evolve around nightly business meetings with as many people as I know.
I can't let you get on with get out of this. When I first came to the UK, I actually cooked paella for some of my colleagues, and then I live in the practice in the same building, and I used to have wine in my lunch before going to work. So that was absolutely normal, and I explained that to the nurses, and they looked me with a bit of a face, thinking, "So you are drinking before coming to work?" I said, "Yeah. I mean, my dad was a taxi driver, and I used to do the same thing." So. I realized after then that that's not that acceptable in the UK, so we stopped. But apparently, government officials do the same thing.
No, I think they do. And in my first job, so this was 25 years ago, I worked in mixed practice, and most days we'd go for a pub lunch and we'd have a beer.
Yeah.
And no problem with that. And these days you're considered a pariah.
Yeah.
I won't comment on whether it's right or wrong, but these days, you have a couple of vodkas for breakfast and people say, no, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know what they're talking about.
Do that at school.
What are they talking about? Obviously, we're recording this at 7 a.m. and cheers, everyone. The gin tonics.
Yeah. Cheers.
Oh, going down.
Monkey 47, so much more than a breakfast drink.
It is. Yeah. So what have we got here? We've got some eyes as well. There we go. Now there's a dog with
That's a dog with an eye.
Episcleral hemorrhage.
Fantastic.
And then I've got another. So can you guess what eye that is? Second one down.
Is that even? I don't think that's an eye.
That's an elephant.
No, it's an eye. It's an
elephant.
It's not an elephant, but it is an ungulate. You're absolutely right. It's a rhino.
Okay.
It is a rhino. Okay.
And do you know what that is?
It's
Arctic tern.
It looks like a
You're
bear.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. What we would call a seagull, although there's no such word as a seagull. And then we have, what do we have here? This is a beach in Spain. And I cannot remember where it is. I know it was a holiday I went to in Spain, and I can't remember which beach it was. But there we go. This is a sunset. Now this isn't Spain, but it's a Spanish province. This is Fuerteventura.
Oh right, nice, Fuerteventura, yes.
Yeah. And here
that's your paella.
Is
that's your paella.
On a big fire pit. And
that's nice.
Here we also have some. Now this is conejos. Is that right? The rabbit dish.
Conejo.
Conejo.
Yes.
Which I did cook with chorizo.
Okay.
And it was jolly nice. But here is a Paella Valenciana.
Yes.
Cooking
Wow.
on the barbecue, and wonderful it was too. Went
Yes.
down with a nice tempranillo.
I'm so impressed and happy that you put that in my certificate, in my certificate of CPD. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll get this sent to you. But that's,
I
Okay.
think
we need to start wrapping up, don't we?
I was going to say, I think it's time for us to say, Francisco Gomez, more than just a vet.
Much more.
Thank you
Much
very, very much for joining us. If you've enjoyed what you've heard tonight, don't forget, click like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you haven't enjoyed what you've heard, then send us an email to the regular email address.
Yes.
Doesn't actually exist. No, it's okay, Francisco.
No one looks at it anyway.
So yeah, so click like, and if we've covered anything that you'd like us to go into more depth in, then let us know and we'll do what we can. So I think all it remains for us to do is to say, Francisco Gomez, thank you very much indeed. I raise a glass to you, and may your dog go with you.
Thank you.
Fran, may your dog go with you. Cheers.
Cheers. And cut.
Here we go.
So how was that, Fran?
Oh, I enjoyed it. Really, thank you.
You
very
enjoyed
much.
yourself?
Yeah. Hope it was okay.
And we've enjoyed it too. Thanks so much
Yeah.
for coming on. It's
Yeah.
been great.